Hey, you guys. Happy Friday. At least, it is a Friday when I'm originally recording this. But yeah, happy whatever day it is for you. But yeah, this is a really good topic. A good conversation to at least start on this channel because we've all been there. We've all been there. This isn't going to be a long live chat, but I definitely want to get the message out. Because definitely when increasing your emotional maturity, and especially if you've been in a lot of lopsided situations, you need this type of message, right? So stop lifting up your enemy and helping the wrong people. Oftentimes, we realize after the fact, after we've already helped somebody, right, that they weren't deserving of that help, or maybe it just wasn't our assignment, or we didn't help them in helping them. Yeah, it's a real thing. Hi, Cherry 48196. Welcome to the live chat. I know that I've seen you here earlier this week on another live chat, so that's great. But yeah, let's get into the psychology of this, you guys. So I'm basically going to run down why you shouldn't be doing this, and I'm trying to give you other angles that you may not have even considered. And worst case scenario, you have considered these things and it's going to be reinforcement, right? And then at the end, I'll give you some questions you can ask, or ways you can intercept yourself from doing this in the future, right? Because that's important. I'm not just here to tell you don't do this, but I do want to give you some alternatives and some other ways to approach situations so that you can work your way into a space where you're not doing this. Does everyone get this perfect all the time? No, but hopefully it won't be a situation. There's confirmation, and I do need to mute my phone. I think I say this in every live. But yeah, we just want to get a lot of these things, just all the topics that I'm talking about. I just don't want it to be devastating your life. We're all humans. We're imperfect. We don't get things right. We never will be 100% on anything. That's just not realistic. But if you can say you feel pretty well-rounded in your emotional maturity, and people aren't just devastating any one area of your life, then, that's a pretty balanced person. We're not striving for perfection, but at least with the knowledge, we have the possibility of arming ourselves to lessen the probability of certain things, and that makes sense to me. And Cherry 48196 says, just finished listening to your other video I missed yesterday. Yeah, about the liars. That was a good one. I feel like this week has been really cool. The topics are very important to just living a healthy life, and anyone that's living on this world can take from those type of videos. But yeah, yesterday I did a video on, handling liars, because you're not going to get away from them, just like you're not going to really get away from narcissists either, but you can manage the access people have to your life and the type of devastation they can end up causing. You can typically manage that. All right, but back to today's topic, you guys, about lifting up your enemies and helping the wrong people. It sucks, right? Your heart is in the right place. You have a certain intention and you don't mean for it to backfire or have ill will, but that don't mean it won't happen. It certainly doesn't mean the other person has good intentions. And honestly, especially with the empaths, your good intentions ain't all that's needed. That's not even something that I wrote down, but since it's just channeling through me at this point, good intentions ain't enough. And you'll learn that in life, period. Good intentions are not enough, and someone else's good intentions for you aren't enough too, sidebar. If a person that hasn't done the work, hasn't healed, but they have a certain intention, it's an intention that they can't even handle yet, right? So if they want to have a healthy relationship, but they don't want to do the work, that's not going to happen, So having the good intentions for someone who isn't ready to really receive the gift that you're trying to give them is going to backfire, you know, and it may put you in a situation, if you're not emotionally mature enough, where you're on this hamster wheel. So good intentions really isn't enough. There's more elements that need to be considered here before you're helping someone. And sidebar, I'm not talking about personal, I'm talking about personal relationships, but not so much philanthropy and charity where you're helping strangers. And even with that, you can use your emotional maturity with that as well, because this is a true story. Not to get too far off, but it is on topic. I grew up in a city, but it was really the town, but it really operates out of a city. But when I went to college, I went to a real city. It wasn't New York City, but it was a city like a New York City. And when I got there, I wasn't used to seeing all the homeless people like I was experiencing. And every time I came out of a store, there was someone there with a cup wanting money. And I want to say, for the first few months, and this is me at 18, for the first few months, I was giving out the money. And I know some of you are like, wait, you in college, first of all, where you get this money from? Because college students, we don't be rolling in it like that usually, unless our parents are giving us a really good allowance, right? But I had a job. But either way, I really had to adjust to that. And I was just giving money to anybody that really asked. If they were homeless, like I had no boundaries with it. But needless to say, at this point in my life, it's definitely different. But yeah, that was just a very shallow surface situation of an adjustment that I had to make coming to the city. But yeah, we have to learn how to definitely be purposeful, you guys, with our helping, because especially when it comes to realizing you've helped a narcissist, that can be very devastating, you guys. But what's typically going on here is a lot of times just running off of your intentions versus really vetting this person and really understanding who's on the receiving end, you know, being so full from your heart and running off of those emotions and intentions, like I said. Now, is this other person not in their purpose? Are they a time waster? Or have they been a time waster before they met you? You know, what has their life been like before they met you? And yesterday I was talking about people's past and all of that following with them. But when narcissists come into your life, and of course they can lie to you, of course, but usually there's definitely some clues that you can take from it. But this isn't just about like romantic relationships. This could be family and so-called friends, associates, just anyone that has access to your energy. Like, look at how this person has led their life or what they're doing in their life. You know, helping people prematurely or overextending yourself to someone is definitely an indication of going hard too soon for somebody. And empaths, toxic empaths are really good for this. Once we tell somebody they're our friend, we just open the floodgates, right? Once our girlfriend and boyfriend is like, a toxic empath will just turn right into wife and husband duties. You know, we're just giving people too much access, going too hard too soon. Going too hard too soon. And it can be devastating. I'm going to tell you guys a situation a little further in, and you'll be like, what? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it is. You've worked hard in your life a lot of times to get to a certain amount of success, and people who haven't, you know, they want a taste of that, and they're definitely going to want to attach themselves to your energy. But you're going to have to really use your discretion about who should be eligible to have access to that. Because what happens is a toxic empath would give people access, and it could be things, lessons, refinement of your gift or skill that took you all of your life to learn. And you're just giving it away to someone who seems eager to someone who's triggering you and your giving side, right? And therefore you're somewhat of a gateway keeper, but to the wrong source. You have to really be careful about upgrading people that are undeserving, or carrying people who don't even meet you halfway, or who haven't even been carrying themselves. Now, I had to psychologically, meditate on why people would do this. And some of the stuff that I came up with is definitely codependency. If you're a toxic empath, you still understand balance. So you want to get this person to be equally yoked with you. So when you want to get someone to be equally yoked with you that's not, you're going to be doing the legwork. You're going to be lifting them up, upgrading them, carrying them to try to promote them up to where you are, because they're not there currently. And that somehow will psychologically make that relationship make sense to you at that point. But, while you're giving them the secret sauce and leveling them up, if you're doing this for a narcissist, you're in for a rude awakening, because there's definitely going to be some disloyalty with that. It'll probably be a situation where you're not even given any type of recognition, if any at all. They might just take all of it. No, I did this for myself, and keep you hidden away. Like it's a serious thing when you're upgrading people. It's a huge blessing. And that's why you can't just place that on anybody or let anybody just have access to your table. Narcissists have identity issues, you guys. So they're basically like meat suits looking to escape their negative lifestyles. And that's why when they get with different sources or different people, they start like a chameleon. They'll be into that now, because they're looking for a purpose. They're looking for success. They're looking for abundance. So they're just thieves looking to feed off of people in that way. And they'll be very crafty about it. They'll figure out what are you feeling void of. And they feel like if they could at least imitate or make you feel like they're filling that void for you, while you fill this void for them. But what happens is after you fill that void for them, they have no use for you at that point. They've gotten what they needed. They've secreted out of you. And you're not going to get a return on that investment. You're going to get a hard lesson and possibly a broken heart, resources you may never get back, or you have to take legal actions to possibly get back. But here's the thing, when you're given from the heart and all of this and that, this 9 times out of 10, it wasn't a loan. You were just giving it to them. So even legally, that's going to become a great issue. So you don't want to be the Bob the Builder or the Beverly the Builder. If people aren't to your level as far as your personal relationships, and especially if you're in this community where you've experienced narcissistic abuse, or you come from this abusive past, that has to become too much of a risk and too much of a gamble. And I'm going to tell you something that you might not want to hear. When you have special gifts in life, or if God has exalted you in some way, and that's the special gifts, you're not going to be yoked with many people in this world, because you're very unique and special. And that's not in any type of egotistical way. It's just something that does happen. And you can look at the most specialized people. Like if you go study them, they probably felt the most loneliest. Look at Michael Jackson. His face was the most recognized face in the planet. And if somebody interviewed him, he would say he felt incredibly lonely. You listen to his music, it's all over it. He was expressing it that way. He was extremely lonely and he felt isolated. His gift made him feel isolated. And it's kind of the price that he paid for having such a special talent. It doesn't mean that he couldn't connect with people in the world. Yeah, he could, but it wasn't many people that he could trust for sure. And he couldn't really give too many people access to his life in a certain way. And it certainly prevented him from having the richness of relationships that he wanted to have, because people always had an ulterior motive. And that's human nature as well. So the more unique you are, the more God has exalted you in that gift, chances are you're going to have to, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to accept the other part that comes with it. And that means you have to properly protect that legacy and that gift, that place and that promotion. And that means you can't have a whole bunch of people around it, or you're going to have to be extremely selective, or else you could be jeopardizing your gift at that point. And we all see that Michael Jackson went through trials and tribulations, having the wrong people around his gift. So it's not the universe picking on you, it's just the way that it is. But ultimately, when you are helping and lifting up the wrong people, you're helping your enemy, is ultimately going to lead to delusions, disruptions, depletion, distraction, and or destruction. You know, we could just call those the 5 Ds right there. That's what's going to come along with that. And if this person is your enemy, they want to be your competition, or they want to be your replacement, or there's situations where this person just wants to even be seen as your equal. Yes, they would be happy to even feel like they are seen as your equal at that point. So you need to know that. Helping the wrong people, you guys, it keeps you from the right people. You know, it keeps you from your right tribe and your right circle, who, you know, they probably don't need your help in that way because they're already equally yoked from you. But what would happen is they would be adding to you, because now you're not the smartest person in the room, or they will have something unique to add to your life that's going to elevate you up, instead of you constantly putting yourself in situations where you have to make people smart enough, intelligent enough, emotionally mature enough, financially secure enough to roll with you. All right. People pleasing could be something that may need to be addressed in a person that has this type of energy, someone that doesn't know how to say no or have proper boundaries with people. You know, this is the kid that gets a birthday gift and someone else, they're already giving it to another child that day. Maybe that kid has a big heart, but maybe that kid doesn't understand boundaries or valuing their self-worth and their happiness. Because if they got the gift, they probably really wanted it. So why are they so easily willing to give that to another child? You know, this is just a very shallow example of things that can be stemming from the childhood. And I'm going to interject myself right here with my twins. I have 7-year-old twins. And with one of them, not both of them, but with one of them, I've had to check her on that a few times, where I may have just bought her something and the kids from the neighborhood are just wearing it down or getting access to it right away. I'm like, oh no, I'm intercepting her right now. And, you know, I have my talking points with her where I'm drilling this in her. And I have my own theories on these type of things. And I'll just sidebar to share that with you real quick, because it is relevant to this video. And I think I have said it in another video where I was talking about sex. I do feel like the mental space that you're in when you conceive a child, you know, you your DNA, at least the half that the child is getting from you, you're passing things down. That's why there's all of this research on passing trauma through DNA. And usually they're talking about the Black community at that point, because there's a lot of trauma for us to heal as a whole, for sure. But yeah, the state that you're in, that child could be getting those traits, and you'll have to, hopefully you've done the work at a certain point where you can intercept them and you're not just making another generation that has those issues. Because I know there were times in my life where I had boundaries with giving, or I would be over giving, oversharing. You know, I've had to work on that at certain times in my life, you know. And that runs really deep. Like, I was about to say something, but I had to stop because that would have been oversharing for me at this point. But yeah, so the state that you're in when you conceive your child, like, for sure, you're passing that energy into your child. But yeah, the oversharing or lifting up your enemies even can be accommodating for perceived inner or external lacking, and not knowing that you're the prize. Like, this person is trying to get next to you and take notes so they can level up their life. You know, that's their intentions. When you're doing this for an enemy, they're not doing it. They're not going to be there for a long time. They're just there to get what they need and get out, and hopefully as quickly as possible and with the least amount of effort. All right. I'm trying to understand my own handwriting. That's crazy. The way I be scribbling sometimes. But just continuing down, like, the psychological reasons for people that may end up helping their enemies, over giving, helping the wrong people. These are people that are used to making themselves responsible for others. And I'll use myself as an example. My mother passed away when I was 7, and I was the oldest child, and I had 2 younger sisters. You know, I was 7, one was 3, and one was 1. But as we grew up in life, my stepfather made me extremely responsible for them. And that energy stayed with me for a while. And I had to, and then, you know, the plus side to it is it made me a very responsible person more than not. You know, I understood responsibility. I knew how to take responsibility and accountability. But there were times where my stepfather made me accountable for the things they did. Like, he was making me accountable for other people. So he was training me to take on other people's responsibilities. That's shadow work that I had to do later in life. You know, over giving, over rescuing, over sharing, overly responsible. I had to work on that later. All right. Sometimes people only feel special and useful and validated through carrying other people's burdens. Because, you know, maybe you may get some type of acknowledgement, or maybe you feel like that's the only time people are really acknowledging you, which certainly is not a good reason to be doing it. But, you know, this can be happening psychologically. Trying to earn love, attention, or reciprocity, or feeling like that's what love is just giving, you know, even if it's lopsided, even if it's one-sided, you know. Another thing that could be going on is because you're in a codependent energy, or if that's the case, in this case, you are triggering another cycle of codependency. And that's the enmeshment that you're operating out of. So it may be an autopilot, you know, whether this person is good for you or not. But when you're on an autopilot, you're going to do it whether the person is good for you or not. That's the whole point of me saying that. So you're going to end up helping enemies or people who are unworthy, or basically helping the wrong people. It's going to happen because you haven't healed that codependency. And it's pushing you to lift them up and, you know, to make things suitably yoked in a relationship. And it also makes you ripe for a narcissist anyway. Because if you're used to being in those type of relationships, they are codependent. So someone has to be a taker and someone has to be a giver. And if you're used to being a giver all the time, then you're gonna feel comfortable with the narcissist who's the taker. I also, I wanted to talk about the thin line between love and hate type of analogy, because it does apply here. And this is how you end up helping your enemy and helping the wrong people. Sometimes, if the person isn't a narcissist, they might actually have admiration for you. This person could actually be a groupie. But there's a thin line between being a groupie, being someone that's admired by you, inspired by you. There's a very thin line between that and envy and jealousy and coveting someone else. It can shift into that, especially if this person is more in their shadow side, or, their self-awareness ain't reconciled and balanced out properly. That's how the person can definitely end up being an enemy. So this person you took under your wing, that you showed the ropes to, or rescuing out of their situation, once they get strong again, that's where the disrespect comes. That's where the, lack of acknowledgement. That's where the stealing of your ideas come, mimicking you in the worst way. In the worst way. That's where trying to literally assume your identity, like in cases where people literally try to assume other people's identity. Like, I've had this happen, and it was very creepy, you guys. Like, someone, and it was related to this channel. Someone would literally just watch my content and verbatim just repeat the words on their platform. Or they would just start doing everything the way that I do. I wear a lot of red lipstick, so I put kiss marks on everything. So this person puts kiss marks on every one of their posts, just like me. But if someone were trying to determine who's the fraud here, they would see this person started a few months ago doing that, and I've just been doing it for years. Like, people with identity issues, they will try to cloak themselves in your energy. Like, and once they're doing that, they're trying to take you down, because there's no room for both of you. So if they're trying to cloak themselves in your energy, they don't want your energy nowhere around, because they don't want people to know that they're cloaking, first of all. So, and that's when the attacks come. That's when the smear campaigns, and trying to destroy your business and your name and your legacy, and just coming against you. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And in romantic relationships, these are situations where people are just with you for what they can get. And then once they feel like they've gotten enough, whether it's sealing the deal through marriage or sealing the deal through having children and trying to get access to your income, when things are severely lopsided, hold on, you guys. That's when they can attempt to take you for a ride. Now, the other day, who is this athlete? I can't think of his name right now, but I think he's worth like $100 million. And he's been in the news because he says he never wants to get married, I believe, or he's not really interested. At first, I looked at it a couple ways, because the person is African American. I was like, well, it would be nice if he could find, a Black woman and keep the money in the community, that would be nice and beautiful. But honestly, the way people are wired today, men and women, I can understand this person's reservations. I mean, of course, they could do a prenup, but there are cases where even prenups get tossed out and people end up still getting more. But when you have a lot to lose, you really got to be discriminatory. And even if you only have a little bit, because it took you a while to just accumulate that little bit, right? To get the momentum to get to a lot of it. Now, the other thing, you guys, that I really want to talk about is intercepting people's karma. And I sat back, I've been guilty of this. And toxic empaths are definitely going to be guilty of this. When we love someone and we care about them, we don't want to see them hurt and uncomfortable, right? But sometimes these people have so many patterns that are just going, repeating, and we're rescuing them too many times when they're trying to get a lesson. So we're intercepting their ability to grow through the discomfort of making a poor decision, right? And their refinement, period. I mean, most people learn through hardships. They do, except for hard-headed, psychopathic narcissists and, people like that. They're not gonna, they're gonna probably rock out on that. But the typical person. But you're not, helping people all the time by helping them. You may also need to check your ego as well, because while it does feel good to help others, if it's not your assignment, you're helping out of ego as well. Narcissists aren't the only ones who have egos. Everybody does. And an ego is not a bad thing when it's balanced. It's a good thing. It gives you a sense of pride, basically. But when it's a false pride built on, things that aren't factual about you, then that's something negative as well. And something that I would like to let you guys know. When you lift up your enemy or you're lifting up these people, you're giving them a false sense of a gift that is not theirs. They're just close to your energy, and it's falling on them and it's lifting them up. While they were in your life, they were getting more blessings, or they were being more productive because you were doing the legwork. You were giving them all the secret sauce. You were telling them what to do. So you're giving that narcissist a false sense of their own abilities. And that's why once they get enough, they think they're big and bad and they don't need you anymore, because they felt so good and they felt so capable with you, like really having somebody in your corner, lifting you up, speaking life into you, pouring into you. Like, that's a beautiful feeling. That'll have anybody glowing, and feeling like a whole brand new person. And they'll forget who they really are. And they'll also forget the source of that. They'll start taking it as their own. And we're going back to cloaking themselves in your energy at that point. So that's definitely something to keep in mind there. So what I have here are some questions, you guys, that you could ask yourself before you end up helping your enemy or the wrong person again, right? What can we do to intercept that? First of all, I'll say that God will try to help you with this. The way that he usually tries to help you, not help the right person, help the wrong person, is he'll make it hard for you to help them. Have you ever tried to help somebody and it felt like you were being blocked, or you had to jump through a hoop and another hoop, and if you're really stubborn, another hoop? And it's like, damn, like I'm just trying to help this person, and for some reason it's hard for me to help them. It's getting blocked. Like I put something in motion and now it's delayed, and like, because they didn't really want you to help them. They didn't really want you to help them. They're trying to like make it hard for you. So pay attention to those little subtle signs. Like if you want to help somebody and for some reason it seems like it's getting blocked in every direction, maybe, God is trying to tell you something. All right. But back to the questions that you can ask yourself. did this person earn this level of access to me? Did they earn it? Yes. Did they earn it? Another question. If they could, would they do it for me? Or have they been showing up for me? Could I rely on them in the same way? And this is in your personal relationships. Another question. Did they do all they could do? Or do they just want a handout? Another question, and this is about patterns. Are they always turning to you? Are you the first line of defense versus the last line? Like they did everything else and they're finally here, which still doesn't mean that you have to help them, but at least it's showing a person that's trying not to be codependent or trying to pick themselves up by the bootstraps or doing everything they can. This is an important one right here. Can they take a no from you or partial help? Is it an all or nothing thing with them? Narcissists tend to be that way too. Or if they asked you for help 100 times and one time you said no, they go give you the silent treatment, or they changing up on you in a certain way as though they're entitled, to your help and the full help at that. There's confirmation. And then this one is an important question, you guys, about your own self-preservation, because all the other questions are more about them. This one right here, can you actually afford to help them with your time, your energy? Those are your resources, your money. Or will it actually put you in some type of deficit? Now, maybe there are some times in life where you'd be willing to take that deficit. Let's say someone very close to you passed away. You wanted to help with the funeral. You took that hit. There's different situations where you will be willing to take the deficit. But this shouldn't be something that's happening to you all the time, or else you don't have the proper boundaries around your giving, and the type of help that you're willing to extend to others. And the thing about helping the wrong people, they're not going to appreciate it anyway. They won't appreciate it and they won't value it properly. Like they're not going to, you gave them, even if it was your last $25, it was just a funky $25, but it was your last $25. Like someone that's willing to give me their last dollar, like, whoa, that person's really down for me. And that $25 is priceless because that was all that you had. Like they'll devalue it. Like I've had people talk shit about me while wearing clothes on their back that I bought for them. Seriously. Like literally making posts on social media, wearing clothes that I gifted to them and stuff, talking shit about me at the same damn time. Like if it's anybody I've had, God has given me a lot of dosages or a lot of front row experiences with ungrateful people. And, he made sure that I got refined in that area, probably because, I was going to have the channel too. Who better to tell you than someone that's recovered from it, But look, I've seen it all. I have seen it all, you guys. I have seen it all. And hi, my Miracle 79. Glad you could make it to the live chat. Yeah, good. That means we're all in sync here on this channel, and that's good. So what I was alluding to with the last point, you guys, is does balancing them out imbalance your life? Okay. Does balancing them out imbalance your life? That's going to be an indication right there of, is not the time for you to be helping. But yeah. But helping the wrong person or helping your enemy, that just takes it on a whole nother level. So you done gave your last to this person that's actually trying to destroy you. You gave your last to somebody who's not even for you. That's the worst feeling right there. But know that God saw that. And he saw your heart and he saw theirs. And he will give it back to you if you haven't been, unless it's a lesson that you really need to learn and he needs you to feel it through that way. Like if you just have this manic thing about you where you just constantly doing this, for a while, he'll probably give it back to you. And then it may be a time where he might let you feel that burn, but feeling the burn might actually be something that may be needed to finally intercept you at that point. You know? Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about Kevin Hart right now when he in that movie Paper Soldiers before he really got on, which is a very funny movie to me. When he went to the courtroom and he heard the sentence, he was like, I learned my lesson right then and there. I ain't need to serve the time. You know, he eventually did end up needing to serve time because, you know, he kept getting into stuff. But, you know, it's kind of like that. He was like, shoot. Yeah. Yeah. But here's the other thing. Lifting up other people, it could also be a sign of you just not investing enough in yourself too. You know, make sure you're lifting up yourself as well. Make sure you're willing to do for yourself what you're willing to do for others. Because that's going to hit different too. If you feel like you lifted up this enemy or you helped the wrong person in a way that you weren't even doing for yourself at the time, or in the way that you need it for yourself as well, you know, because we only have so much energy, man, and that sucks. I can vouch for that. I remember a time in my life where I wanted to reach a goal and I had some toxic people in my life and I was given to them. But during this time, God really wanted me to focus on that goal, and the goal required money. And I was giving so much to other people, among other things, that once that season passed and my money always stayed solid, but during this time it was just super duper. It was an abundant, it was crazy. And when I sat back, I had to apologize because I was like, wow, I see where you were trying to open that door for me. But I was spreading myself so thin and actually spreading myself, helping people. I found out later on, I wasn't even supposed to, like, they weren't supposed to be benefiting off of me. And they delayed something in my life and took what I gave them and ran off and spit in my face, pretty much. Not literally. Whew. Not literally, but figuratively for sure. Had to. But that's not a good feeling, to feel like you missed your mark, and not missed the mark, but you delayed it because you were being too given. You were given resources, like you prayed for a gift and God actually said, all right, he gave it to you and you mishandled it. You know, you misbudgeted that. And now he might make you work a little bit harder to reach that goal. But once you actually see that he's opening the door, making it easier for you, hopefully you're going to appreciate it more and you're going to know how to put yourself first. You know, which actually is taking me back to inner childhood wound. Now that I think about that, helping your enemy. Unfortunately, if your primary caretakers were like the first narcissists in your life, you were trained by them to even help your enemy, right? Because you still had to respect them. You still had to do what they said. You still had to be there for them and lift them up all through your childhood. So psychologically and subconsciously, like, it could just be trenched in there. Like that seed got planted. And that's pretty deep right there. And that's how, you know, kids learn stuff early on that later on they have to work their way through that, you know, and figuring out what that's, or where that's rooted from. Yeah, that's a deep one right there. Make sure titles aren't making you feel like you have to help your enemy. And that's something I talk about a lot on this channel, you know, because it's, unfortunately, if it's your mother or father that's the toxic, that's actually your enemy in life. It is the case for lots of people. Yeah. Yep. And when you lift them up, it's the exchange of energy just ain't right. You know, the acknowledgement isn't there. I don't know, or you could lift them up and they go help another sibling or use you for something else. Hold on a minute. One of the twins is thank God I'm at the end of this live chat. I've been coming on here while they were sleeping. So, but yeah, I hope that you guys, got a few things to think about. For anyone that joined the live chat a little bit later, it's going to re-upload and you could probably already rewind it. But yeah, we really have to be careful about strengthening our enemies because it just strengthens their ability to attack you, and that's the sad part. That's the sad part right there. Lifting up your enemy is jeopardizing your stability, it's jeopardizing your legacy, and it's giving them, it's telling them your secrets, is giving them a blueprint on how to better attack you, honestly. So we're trying to get to the point where those people don't even have access to our life in a certain way, where they have to try to guess, if anything, because they're not going to try to go nowhere. And if they are, the energy would just try to work through somebody else, because that's how it works in life. But it's a classroom. And as long as we know that, this is the case, so just be careful. Everything that glitters ain't gold. Be careful with that too. Like really make sure you're not just running out of your heart space, because a lot of times we're doing stuff out of love and we're doing stuff out of care, but it has to be a balance with logic too. As long as you're doing that and you make it make sense, especially like this video is geared toward personal relationships more so. All right, you guys. Is there anything that anyone wants to ask me on this live chat? Anybody going through anything along the topic of this live chat, or just anything? I always, create this space for that. If anybody wants to say anything, I'll give a couple of moments. Go ahead and type it down there. Yeah. But increasing my emotional maturity has been like, I want to almost say, I won't say the number one thing, because my connection to source or my connection to God, that's the number one thing. But number two is definitely going to be that emotional maturity. You need it to survive out here. It's okay to not help someone, You don't have to save the world, and you damn sure don't have to save an enemy. That's the last thing you want to do. All right, you guys, I don't see any questions down in there, which is good. Hopefully everybody's really okay. If not, you can email me at coachlakia@gmail.com if you're a little bashful. You're welcome to do that. My website is still up, lakiacrawford.com, where you can get coaching sessions with me, right? I always say if there's a topic that you would like for me to talk about on this channel, you can always list that under a video. But there is over, almost 950 videos on this channel at this point. It's more than that. I have to make back public some of my lives. I don't know. Some of them are put to private right now, but I'm going to open those back up because it should be over 1,000. So we'll see. But either way, it was great to drop in and talk to you guys. Hopefully I wasn't all over the place. Hopefully, you could follow my conversations, because that's the thing. Like when you are a vessel, like when stuff hits me in my mind, I be trying to get it out my mouth. Like I'll come to all the live chats with my speaking points, but as I'm talking to you, more speaking points start coming into my head. And it's like I want to get it out there. I don't want to forget it. Anyone that channels a little bit or understands creativity, like to keep a pencil and a paper near you. Like Michael Jackson and Prince talked about this a lot. Like God gave them the songs, and they, wherever they were, if they were on the toilet, if it was in the middle of the night, like they got to write it down. Like one thing I'll tell you that's cute about me, I collect cute notebooks, and I always have papers and pens. I have my cell phone memo pad as well, but my preference is to just write it down really quick, because you can really write faster. To me, I can write faster than I can be texting all that stuff to myself or putting in a memo pad. But yeah, when an ideal hits me, when God plants something, you want to write it down quick, because it can flee you. It could certainly flee you. And anyone out there that's artistic will understand exactly what I'm talking about. And then I'll be like, damn, what was that thought? Like, and hopefully it'll come back around to you. But man, I have lots of paper, lots of stuff written down, and I love it. I'm a little old school with that. I'll take me a cute notebook any day. And lots of white printing paper. But okay. All right, you guys, I love you. I hope that this helps. Make sure that you feel free to subscribe, hit the bell, because, these aren't set schedules. When I feel called to speak on something, I speak on it. I actually had a completely other topic that I thought I was going to do yesterday, but this morning I was intercepted with this idea, and I knew like I was supposed to do this one next. So that's why I won't even say, well, tomorrow I'm going to do a live chat on this, unless I really know for sure, because at the last minute, it can even change for me, and I'll be guided to speak on something else. I'll still get around to the other topic, but for some reason, I know like this one needed to be addressed next, right? So I love you guys. Please take care. Enjoy your weekend, and never stop investing in yourself. If you have helped your enemy out, don't be hard on yourself. Just take the lessons and work to not put yourself in those situations again. Most people, they don't deserve it. And that's unfortunate, but there was confirmation right there. They don't. And what happened with a narcissist is they won't respect that help. Like I said, like minutes and minutes ago, you might have worked really hard, and it's something that you had to really be refined to learn, and you just throw that on somebody else's lap. They're not even valuing it right. Okay. So, and not only that, they're going to just use it against you if they're your enemy, right? So they're going to use your gift against you, use your, how you've helped them against you. Yeah, I've had that. And that's crazy, but it's real. And that's why we got to stop helping our enemies and stop helping our own people. All right. It's nothing wrong with helping, but we need to gauge it better and get it right, so that we're lifting up the light and not the dark. We're not trying to help the other team. They've been helped enough. They get ample opportunities in this lifetime. Just don't let it be from you, right? All right, you guys. God bless you. Stay well, stay safe, and I will see you in the next live chat.